History Month, which means that the night is dark and full of tomfoolery. I was going to try and do something more poignant for Black History Month, and video-wise, and talk about certain tropes in literature, and it just sort of, because of my busy schedule, fell through. But I wanted to do one of them because I felt like this was the one that kind of encompassed so many tropes that gets continuated and perpetuated in the media and doesn't get scrutinized because it just doesn't seem that bad. That one is the good old Magical Negro. The Magical Negro trope is something that was coined by Spike Lee, who I know is quite, infamous, but the point that he makes is valid, I feel. And he talked about, specifically, the movie The Legend of Bagger Vance, which stars Will Smith and I believe Matt Damon. And basically, he helps inspire Matt Damon's character to help him golf and all these kind of things in a time of, racism and all that kind of stuff going on. And the point that he makes is that you have this magical Negro character who has these powers and can do things, but his only role in the narrative is to be helpful to white people. And that dichotomy perpetuates the master-slave dichotomy in society. And this is, and I'll admit this is probably not intentional. This is probably a subconscious thing. And it's probably not done to be insulting to black people. Most of the time, it's white guilt, even, because if you look at a lot of Stephen King's work, he does the exact same thing. But the issue is that the Magical Negro is not an inherently positive character just because he's not meant to be seen in a bad way. And where is my sheet? Because I wrote down notes. Okay, so, to just clarify this, what is a Magical Negro? And I wrote down this, because I think this is the best definition, and this way I won't slur. A Magical Negro is a black character that possesses magical powers or some advanced spiritual ways, and only uses their powers to help, advise, serve white people. And even though I say black character, I will put this for any minority, because they'll always have, the mystical Asian fighting guru, or the really deep in tune with the nature Native American. Anything where they take a minority and make them seem really specially in tune with the earth, but it is only used to perpetuate A, a stereotype, or B, for them to be a servant. And the biggest and best example of a Magical Negro is John Coffey from The Green Mile. Hold on. Let me clarify this. I love The Green Mile. I love the book. It made me cry. The movie makes me cry every time I watch it. It is an incredible movie. It is an incredible story. However, John Coffey is the epitome of a Magical Negro. Let's make that very clear. Okay, and just to clarify this, Magical Negroes do not have a role outside of this plot-oriented state. They are not people, they are constructs. They are ideas. They are concepts. They are metaphors. They are not real people. They are just something to help the plot along. Full stop. Now, what is not a Magical Negro? A character who is black and has magic. A character who is black and helps white people. A character who is black and smart. Those are not Magical Negroes. Like, especially the one about a character who is black and helps white people. That is not what makes you a Magical Negro. Because that could be anyone who has a white friend. You know what I mean? It's not like, because for example, Jon Stewart from Justice League. He's not a Magical Negro. He is black. He's got magic. He does help his white companions, but he is a character. He is a person. He has his own plots. He has his own character. He has his own backstory. He is a fully fleshed out human being person. He is a black man with magic. He's not a Magical Negro, okay? The key issue is that they exist only to serve, help, advise whites. Only. That is what makes them what they are. And then I talked about how it reads. So why is it offensive, basically? Because a lot of people will talk about the character like John Coffey or Bagger Vance or whatever and say, well, they're not really negative or bad characters. It's not. I think the issue is that people think that if something is not hurtful or intentionally meant to be racist, it is not therefore insulting and it's progressive. You can't, that's wrong. The thing about the Magical Negro is that alright, how to put this. The reason why the Magical Negro is offensive is because it is just there to reinforce master-slave dichotomy. That is it. Because that's the only function these characters have. Because, to talk about John Coffey specifically, you know, he is put in a position where he is dependent completely on other people, you know. For him to be seen as this, you know, this miracle that he is made to be mentally disabled. He needs other people to support him and that of the other white members of the cast. He interacts with no other minorities. I'm pretty sure that the Native American character, who they call Chief in the book, dies before he comes into the storyline. So he doesn't even interact with Chief. Everyone he interacts with in the story is white. Everyone he helps in the story is white. He shows no indication of being hurt by like other things. His whole story, his whole purpose is to be the perfect human being, the perfect creature, so that his death is tragic because he's this innocent, incapable man-child that his death is tragic, you know, and all he does is help people, but he only helps whites. You don't see him help any other person of color in the entire film, let alone interact with, like I said before. And so basically, even though he is, you know, a person, he's completely dependent on everyone else around him who is white. They're the ones who take him places, do anything. Even though he has the power, he needs them. And even though he has the power, he doesn't do anything with it to help himself. In fact, his own power, you know, hurts him. And so while he has all this magic, has all this ability, he can't do anything for himself. He is a slave to his own abilities, which can only help him to help other people. That's why his character, while he is a really well done character, he isn't a person. He's not. He is Jesus Christ. You know, that's the whole thing. It's a very blatant story. He's not meant to be a human being. It's everyone else who's affected by him that becomes better because of him. I know is like people talk about, well, they're secondary characters, so blah blah blah. Here's my thing. When you only have one minority who is there to play that role, that's ridiculous. They're only there to help you in and come out and then leave. That's, you know, it not only is that tokenism, it's just really poor character writing. Like, you only have this you know, Asian, Native American, Latino character come in to help out the mainly white cast and then go. It's stupid. And when they do have that smart character in a show, they're usually, and they're not a minority, usually they're in the main cast, or they are a part of that main circle, or at least get a lot of attention and plot detail, where some of these minority characters really just don't. They come in, they help, they go. They come in, they help, they go. They're never allowed to become really integral to the main cast and become fully fleshed out people like everybody else. And that's really the problem. But I guess the other issue that people bring up, and I wrote it down here, is, okay, the counter argument for the Magical Negro is something very typical. What if the character is white? Well, then it wouldn't be a Magical Negro. The thing about it is that people want to always bring up, like, these... Because, alright, so you take the character of the Magical Negro, and then people will say, well, if the character was white, there wouldn't be a problem. And that's true. It wouldn't be a problem, because there is no slave-master dichotomy in the Western sphere that is being reinforced like that. Especially if it's already an all-white cast. A lot of people want to make these equivalencies and not realize that, you know, the two groups are not equal in the way that they're seen or presented in the media. If you have, like, Giles, who is basically, you know, he's the wise advisor. But he's also a character. He's also got his own backstory. He's got people he loves. He's got a love interest. He's got all this stuff going on for him. He is a fully fleshed out person. And even if he wasn't a fully fleshed out person, it's like you have Buffy, Xander, Willow, Anya, Oz, Dawn. Everybody friggin' else there is also white. So you're not losing anything. But if you only have one minority character who only comes in to help and then leave, and everyone else is white, and that's the only minority representation you have, it's a completely different thing. You can't say that because if the character is white, it'd be different, it's not a big deal, because it's not the same thing. You can't take one group that's had a history of certain sort of stereotypes and stigmas, switch them out with another group and be like, but it's not the same. Of course it's not the same. It can't be the same, and you can't hold them to the same standards when the thing is completely different. You know, the wise advisor character is its own archetype. You know, and we have our Gandalfs, our Dumbledores, but, you know, Dumbledore is more of a human being and a person than John Coffey. You know, Dumbledore has his own backstory, his own life, his own goal. We find it out much later in the book, but he has it. You know, he gets mad, he gets angry, he feels different kinds of emotions. John Coffey exists to just be this perfect, sad figure who has to die because the world is a sad place. You know, and because of racism. You know, that's really it. To take a stereotype that has to do with a certain minority group and say, well, what if they were male? What if they were white? What if they were able-bodied? What if they were straight? Is just a false equivalency and doesn't really prove anything. So we should just get that mentality out of our minds. So basically, the other thing is a Magical Negro character inherently bad? And I think bad is putting it into something that else is not. Can you enjoy a character who is just an archetype and just a Magical Negro? Of course you can. I enjoy John Coffey. I get what he is in the story. I understand he only represents one thing, but I like him anyway. I like that what he brings to the story. I like the metaphor and the stuff that comes with him. Is he still a Magical Negro? Absolutely. Does it make him a bad character? Well, he's not really that much of a character. That's not what he's really there to be. And I feel like, you know, if it was more variety, we wouldn't even have a problem, because if you had a bunch of characters who could be magical and just be regular people, you wouldn't have to worry about the Magical Negros that pop in. But there are so many, and because they don't do anything bad, they kind of just get kind of like tossed aside, like, well, why are you overreacting? I mean, they're not like a negative or being thugs or whatever. And it's just like, not the point. What's important to look at when you're analyzing the Magical Negro character in a film or character you think is a Magical Negro is, does this character, especially if it's a huge ensemble cast, is this character equal to everyone else? You know what I mean? Is this character getting the same supporting character time as other supporting characters? Or are they just there to be a plot device to move the story from point A to point B and then they're gone? Bonnie Bennett.